Sophie, can I tell you something a little embarrassing?
Ooh, I love embarrassing stories. Go on.
Okay, so for the last 3 years, I have tried to start a gym habit at least 10 times. 10 times, Sophie.
Only 10? I feel like that's actually pretty good.
And every single time, I quit after about 8 days. 8 days! It's like clockwork.
Okay, but here's the thing. I used to think that too. I thought James just doesn't have willpower. But then I read about the psychology of habits, and honestly, it changed how I see, well, everything. Diets, gym routines, even little things like drinking more water or reading before bed.
Right, and that's exactly why today's episode is going to be so useful. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of our English podcast, where we help you improve your listening, your vocabulary, and your natural conversation skills, all while talking about real, interesting topics.
And today's topic is a big one, the psychology secrets behind building better habits, why some habits stick, why others just disappear, and what science actually says about changing your behavior.
So if you've ever tried to wake up earlier, eat healthier, study more consistently, or stop scrolling on your phone at 2 a.m.,
Guilty.
then this episode is for you. Grab your coffee, put in your earphones, and let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with a myth. A lot of people believe that building good habits is all about willpower. Like, if you're disciplined enough, tough enough, strong-minded enough, you'll succeed. And if you fail, it's because you're lazy.
Which, honestly, is what I believed for years. I used to feel so guilty every time I failed at a habit. I thought something was wrong with me.
Right, but here's the twist. Psychologists actually say willpower is one of the least reliable tools for building habits.
Wait, really? That sounds surprising because everyone talks about willpower like it's the golden key.
I know, but think about it this way. Willpower is like a battery. You wake up in the morning with a full charge, and every decision you make during the day, what to eat, what to wear, how to respond to a rude email, it drains that battery little by little.
Oh, that makes so much sense, actually. Like by the end of a long workday, I have zero energy to cook a healthy meal. I just want to order pizza and collapse on the couch.
Exactly. That's not you being weak, that's just human psychology. Your brain has used up its self-control for the day.
So if willpower runs out, what's the alternative? Because clearly relying on just try harder doesn't work long term.
This is where it gets interesting. Psychologists say the real secret isn't willpower, it's systems and environment. In other words, instead of trying to force yourself through pure discipline, you design your life so the good habit becomes the easy choice.
Okay, give me an example because I'm a very visual, practical learner.
Sure, let's say you want to drink more water. Instead of relying on willpower and just remembering to drink water,
Which never works, by the way.
never. Instead, you put a big water bottle right on your desk, in your direct line of sight every single morning. Now drinking water doesn't require motivation. It requires almost zero effort because the bottle is just there, staring at you.
Oh, I actually do that with my vitamins now. I put them right next to my coffee machine because I know I'm going to make coffee every morning no matter what.
That's a perfect example, and it leads us straight into one of the most famous ideas in habit psychology, something called the habit loop.
Ooh, sounds official. Explain.
Ah, the famous 21-day myth. So many people believe this, but honestly, it's not fully accurate.
Wait, so where did that number even come from?
It actually came from a plastic surgeon back in the 1960s who noticed his patients took about 21 days to get used to their new appearance after surgery. Somehow, over the decades, that idea got twisted into it takes 21 days to build any habit.
That's wild, because that has nothing to do with like forming a gym habit or a reading habit.
Right. And later research actually studied real habit formation, things like drinking water, doing push-ups, eating fruit, and found that on average, it takes about 66 days for a behavior to become automatic.
66 days? That's over 2 months.
Yes, and here's the important part. That's just an average. For some simple habits, like drinking a glass of water in the morning, it might take less time. For more complex habits, like doing 50 sit-ups every day, it could take much, much longer, sometimes over 200 days.
Okay, that actually makes me feel a little relieved, honestly, because I always thought if I can't stick to something for 3 weeks, I'm just a failure. But maybe I was just quitting way too early.
That's exactly the lesson here. So many people give up right before the habit would have become automatic because they expected results in 3 weeks. And when that didn't happen, they assumed it wasn't working.
That's kind of heartbreaking, actually, when you think about it. Like imagine giving up on something just 2 weeks before it would have clicked.
It happens all the time. And this brings us to a really important psychological concept, Consistency matters more than perfection.
Ooh, say more about that. Because I feel like a lot of people, including me, think in a very all or nothing way. Like, if I miss one gym day, I've ruined everything, so I might as well quit.
That's such a common trap, and psychologists actually have a phrase for it: all or nothing thinking. It's when your brain treats any small mistake as a total failure.
Yes, that is literally me with diets. I eat one cookie and suddenly I think, well, today is ruined, I'll start again on Monday.
The classic "I'll start Monday" trap. So many of our listeners are nodding right now, I guarantee it.
Okay, but seriously, why do our brains do this? Why can't we just say, okay, I ate a cookie, no big deal, back to the plan tomorrow?
Great question. Part of it is because our brains love clear categories: success or failure, good or bad. Gray areas feel uncomfortable. But real habit building isn't a straight line. It's more like a zigzag.
A zigzag, I like that.
There's actually a well-known rule in habit psychology called the never miss twice rule.
Never miss twice? Explain that one.
All right, so this idea comes from a lot of research, especially popularized in a well-known book about habits. The concept is called the habit loop, and it has 3 parts: cue, routine, and reward.
Cue, routine, reward. Okay, break it down for me.
So a cue is basically a trigger, something that tells your brain, hey, it's time to do this behavior. It could be a time of day, a location, an emotion, or even another action.
Like for me, the moment I sit on the couch after work, that's my cue to grab my phone and start scrolling.
Exactly. That's a perfect cue. Then comes the routine, which is the actual behavior itself, the habit you do. In your case, scrolling on your phone.
And I'm guessing the reward is that little dopamine hit from seeing something interesting or funny.
Exactly. The reward is what your brain gets out of doing the behavior. It could be pleasure, relief, comfort, or even just distraction from boredom.
Okay, this is honestly a little scary because now I'm realizing my entire evening routine is just cue, routine, reward on repeat without me even thinking about it.
That's the whole point. Habits are basically your brain's way of saving energy. Once a behavior becomes automatic, your brain doesn't have to think hard about it anymore. It just runs the loop.
So if I want to build a better habit, I need to hack this loop somehow.
Exactly. And there are 2 powerful ways to do that. First, you can keep the same cue and reward, but change the routine.
Meaning?
So let's say your cue is feeling stressed after work, and your usual routine is eating junk food, and the reward is comfort. Well, you could keep the cue, feeling stressed, and keep the reward, feeling comforted, but change the routine to something like a 5-minute walk, or calling a friend, or listening to music.
Oh, that's smart because you're not fighting your brain's need for comfort. You're just redirecting it.
Exactly. And that's a much gentler, more realistic approach than just saying, stop eating junk food, which almost never works long term.
Okay, and the second way?
The second way is to change your environment so the cue doesn't even appear in the first place.
Ah, like removing junk food from the house completely.
Exactly. If the chips aren't in your kitchen, you can't mindlessly grab them. This is actually one of the most underrated psychology secrets. Most people try to fight temptation with willpower, but the smartest people just remove the temptation from their environment altogether.
Out of sight, out of mind.
That's a great expression, by the way, for our learners listening. Out of sight, out of mind means if you don't see something, you tend to forget about it or stop wanting it. Very useful phrase for everyday English.
Love that. Okay, so cue, routine, reward. Got it. But James, here's my real question. How long does it actually take to build a habit? Because I've heard the number 21 days thrown around a lot.
So the idea is simple. Missing one day of your habit is completely normal. It happens to everyone. Life gets busy, you get sick, something comes up. That's fine.
Okay, sounds forgiving so far.
But the rule says never let yourself miss 2 days in a row, because missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit, the habit of not doing the thing.
Oh, wow, that's actually such a simple but powerful way to think about it.
Right? Instead of aiming for perfection, which is basically impossible long term, you aim for quick recovery. You fall down, you get back up immediately. Not next Monday, not next month, but literally the next day.
That takes so much pressure off because honestly, the fear of messing up is probably what stops people from even starting in the first place.
Exactly. And that fear is connected to something called identity. Let's talk about that because I think this might be the single most powerful psychology secret in this whole episode.
Ooh, okay, I'm sitting up straighter now. Go on.
So most people approach habits by focusing on the outcome. I want to lose 10 kilos. I want to read 20 books this year. I want to save money.
Right, which sounds completely normal to me.
It is normal, but psychologists say there's actually a deeper, more powerful way to build habits, and it starts with identity instead of outcome.
Meaning, instead of focusing on what I want to achieve, I focus on who I want to become?
Exactly. So instead of saying, I want to run a marathon, you shift your thinking to, I am becoming a runner. Instead of, I want to save money, you think, I am becoming a person who manages money wisely.
Okay, but how does that actually change anything in real life? Like, isn't that just a mindset trick?
It's more than a trick, actually. Here's why it works. Every time you perform a habit, you're not just doing an action, you're casting a vote for the type of person you believe you are.
Casting a vote. Ooh, I like that expression.
Right. So if you go for a run, even just once, you're voting for the identity of, I am someone who exercises. And the more votes you collect, the more that identity becomes real and believable to you.
Okay, that's actually really beautiful, but also kind of intense because it means every small choice matters more than I thought.
It does. But here's the encouraging part. It works in tiny actions too. You don't need to run 10 kilometers to vote for being a runner. Even putting on your running shoes and walking around the block counts as a vote.
Oh, that's such a relief, honestly, because I think a lot of people, myself included, feel like habits only count if they're big and impressive.
Totally, and that's a huge misunderstanding, which actually leads us perfectly into our next psychology secret, the 2-minute rule.
Ooh, I've heard of this one, but explain it properly because I don't think I fully understand it.
Okay, so the 2-minute rule says when you're starting a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do.
Wait, only 2 minutes? That sounds almost too easy to actually help with anything.
I know it sounds strange, but stick with me. The idea isn't that the habit stays at 2 minutes forever. It's about making the starting point so easy that you literally cannot say no to it.
Give me a real example, please, because my brain needs something concrete.
Sure. Let's say your goal is read more books. Instead of saying, I will read 1 hour every night, which sounds exhausting after a long day,
Extremely exhausting, yes.
you shrink the habit down to, I will read 1 page, just 1 page.
1 page? That feels almost silly.
It does feel silly at first, but here's the psychological trick. Once you open the book and read 1 page, you've already overcome the hardest part, which is starting. And very often, once you start, you naturally keep going.
Oh, that actually happens to me all the time with cleaning. I tell myself, I'll just clean this one shelf, and suddenly I've cleaned the whole apartment.
That's the 2-minute rule in action perfectly. Our brains resist big, overwhelming tasks, but they rarely resist small, easy ones. So the secret is to make the habit so small that starting requires almost no motivation at all.
Okay, I actually love this because it removes so much pressure. Like, I will meditate for 1 minute sounds way less intimidating than I will meditate for 30 minutes.
Exactly. And here's a bonus tip. Once the small habit becomes consistent and automatic, then and only then you can slowly increase the difficulty.
So it's like, master the small version first, then level up.
Exactly, like a video game. You don't jump to the hardest level immediately. You build your skills gradually.
Okay, quick reminder for our listeners, if you're enjoying this episode and learning some useful expressions along the way, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It genuinely helps our channel grow, and it means more free English lessons for you.
Exactly, and turn on notifications too so you don't miss our future episodes. All right, let's keep going because I want to talk about something that trips up almost everyone, habit stacking.
Habit stacking? Never heard that phrase before.
Okay, so habit stacking is a technique where you attach a new habit to an existing one. The formula is simple. After I current habit, I will new habit.
Oh, okay. Give me an example.
Sure. Let's say you already brush your teeth every morning without fail. That's an established habit. You could stack a new habit onto it, like after I brush my teeth, I will do 10 squats.
Oh, I see. So you're using an existing habit as the cue for the new one.
Exactly. Remember earlier we talked about cues? Well, instead of trying to create a brand new cue from nothing, which is hard, you borrow a cue that already works perfectly in your life.
That's honestly genius because I feel like the hardest part of building a habit is remembering to do it in the first place.
Exactly. And habit stacking solves that problem beautifully. I actually do this myself. After I make my morning coffee, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for. The coffee making is automatic, so it reminds me every single day.
That's such a lovely habit, by the way. Do you actually feel a difference from doing that?
Honestly, yes. It sounds a little cheesy, but starting the day by noticing something positive really does shift my mood. Anyway, back to the topic. Habit stacking works for almost anything. Want to drink more water? Stack it after your alarm goes off.
Want to stretch more? Stack it after you get out of bed.
Okay, I'm definitely going to try this with something. Maybe after I pour my evening tea, I'll write in a journal for 2 minutes.
See, that's perfect, because you're not adding extra mental effort to remember the habit. Your existing routine does the remembering for you.
I love this so much. Okay, next question. What about when a habit is bad? Like, we've talked a lot about building good habits, but what about breaking bad ones? Is it the same process in reverse?
Great question. And yes, in some ways, it's the mirror image. Remember the habit loop? Cue, routine, reward?
Yep, still fresh in my memory.
Well, to break a bad habit, psychologists suggest a few strategies. First, make the cue invisible. If your bad habit is checking your phone constantly, put your phone in another room while you work.
Oh, that's brutal but effective.
It really is. Second, make the routine difficult. This is sometimes called increasing friction.
Increasing friction, meaning making the bad habit harder to actually do?
Exactly. So if you want to stop watching too much TV, unplug it after every use. So turning it on requires a few extra annoying steps. That tiny bit of friction is often enough to make you reconsider.
Interesting, because I think we underestimate how much small inconveniences actually change our behavior.
Massively underestimated. There was actually research on this with candy in offices. When candy was placed close, like right on the desk, people ate way more of it. When it was moved just a couple of meters away, consumption dropped significantly.
Wow, just a few meters made that much difference?
Yes, convenience is incredibly powerful. Our brains are, in a way, wonderfully lazy. They choose the path of least resistance almost every time.
Okay, that's such a helpful reminder. So for bad habits, we hide the cue and increase the friction. What's the third strategy?
The third one is to replace the reward, not eliminate it completely. This connects back to what we talked about earlier. If a habit gives you comfort, relief, or excitement, you need to find a replacement source for that same feeling, or your brain will keep craving the old habit.
Right, because just removing something without replacing it usually leaves this empty feeling.
Exactly. And that empty feeling is often exactly why people go back to bad habits even after weeks or months of doing well. They quit smoking, for example, but they never replaced the stress relief function that smoking gave them, so the craving stays.
That makes so much sense. It's not really about the cigarette itself. It's about what the cigarette represents to that person emotionally.
Exactly. And that's such an important insight for anyone trying to change a habit. Ask yourself, what emotional need is this habit actually satisfying? And then find a healthier way to satisfy that same need.
Okay, this episode is honestly turning into free therapy.
Well, psychology and self-improvement go hand in hand, right?
James, can we go a little deeper into environment? Because you mentioned it a couple of times already, and I feel like it's honestly more powerful than people realize.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. So there's a saying in psychology, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Ooh, that's a strong quote. Break that down for our listeners.
So basically, it means having a big goal isn't enough. Motivation isn't enough. What actually determines your success is the system, the environment and structure that you've built around yourself.
So even with amazing motivation, if your environment works against you, you'll probably fail.
Exactly. Let's say you're highly motivated to eat healthy, but your kitchen is full of chips, chocolate, and soda. Eventually, motivation fades. It always does, and your environment takes over.
Oh, that's so true. Motivation is like a spark, but the environment is the fuel that keeps the fire burning, or puts it out.
Beautiful way to put it, Sophie. And this is why successful habit builders spend more time designing their environment than trying to boost their motivation.
Give me some practical examples of environment design.
Sure. If you want to read more, leave a book open on your pillow so you see it right before bed. If you want to drink less coffee, don't buy coffee at all. Make it inconvenient to get. If you want to exercise in the morning, sleep in your gym clothes.
Sleep in gym clothes? That sounds a bit extreme.
It sounds funny, but it works. When you wake up already dressed for the gym, the barrier to going is so much lower. You've basically removed one entire step of resistance.
Okay, I actually want to try that, not gonna lie. What about digital environment? Because a lot of our bad habits these days are related to phones and screens.
Huge point. Digital environment matters just as much as physical environment. Deleting social media apps from your phone, turning off notifications, using grayscale mode so your screen looks less colorful and exciting. These small changes reduce the pull of your phone significantly.
Grayscale mode? I've never tried that.
Try it sometime. When your screen isn't colorful anymore, apps become noticeably less addictive. It's such a simple trick, but it works because a lot of app design relies on bright colors and notifications to trigger dopamine.
Dopamine again. We should probably explain that word properly for our listeners.
Good call. So dopamine is a chemical in your brain, often called the motivation molecule, or sometimes incorrectly called the pleasure chemical.
Wait, incorrectly? I always thought dopamine was just about feeling good.
That's actually a common misunderstanding. Dopamine isn't just released when you feel pleasure, it's released in anticipation of a reward. It's the chemical of wanting, not necessarily the chemical of liking.
Oh, that's a subtle but important difference.
It really is. Think about checking your phone. The dopamine spike happens right before you check it. When you're wondering, did someone message me? Did I get likes on my post? That anticipation is what keeps you hooked, sometimes even more than the actual reward itself.
That explains so much, honestly, because sometimes I check my phone, see nothing interesting, and still keep checking it 5 minutes later.
Exactly. That's the anticipation loop at work. Understanding this can help you build better habits because you can intentionally create anticipation around good habits too.
How so?
For example, some people make their workout playlist something they only listen to during exercise. Over time, their brain starts associating that music with excitement and anticipation, which makes the workout habit more appealing.
Oh, that's such a clever trick. Basically hacking your own brain chemistry.
Exactly. And it's not manipulation in a bad way. It's just working with your psychology instead of against it.
James, is there a name for that trick? The workout playlist idea?
Yes, actually, it's called temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. I like the sound of that already.
So the idea is you pair something you need to do with something you want to do. You only allow yourself to enjoy the want activity while doing the need activity.
Give me a solid example.
Sure, let's say you love a certain TV series, but you also need to exercise more. Temptation bundling means you only let yourself watch that show while you're on the treadmill or doing some form of exercise.
Oh, so the show becomes the reward that's locked behind the workout.
Exactly. Suddenly, exercise doesn't feel like a boring chore because it's connected to something enjoyable. This works incredibly well because it satisfies both your long-term goals and your short-term desire for pleasure at the same time.
I actually love this idea. I might start doing this with podcasts, only allowing myself to listen to my favorite podcast while doing house chores.
Perfect example. You'll probably start looking forward to cleaning, which sounds almost impossible, but that's the power of temptation bundling.
Let's be real, I'll never look forward to cleaning, but I might dislike it a little less.
That's still a win in my book.
Okay, what about the social side of habits? Because I've noticed that when my friends and I are trying to do something together, like eating healthier, it's so much easier than doing it alone.
Huge point, Sophie, and there's real psychology behind it. Humans are deeply social creatures, and our habits are heavily influenced by the people around us.
Like monkey see, monkey do?
Kind of, yes. There's actually research showing that if your close friends develop a certain habit, whether good or bad, you're significantly more likely to develop that same habit too, even without realizing it.
That's honestly a little scary, because it means we should be careful about who we spend time with.
Exactly. And this is why joining a community, a class, or having an accountability partner is so effective for habit building. When other people expect something from you, you're far less likely to quit.
I've experienced that myself. When I told my sister I was going to run every morning and she started checking in on me, I felt this social pressure in a good way to actually follow through.
That's called accountability, and it works because humans have a strong desire to appear consistent and reliable to others. Nobody wants to feel like they broke a promise, even a small one.
So basically, telling people about your goals can actually help you achieve them, rather than just talking about it and never doing it?
It can help, but here's an interesting twist. Some research suggests that announcing a goal too early, before you've done any real work, can actually reduce motivation, because your brain gets a little satisfaction just from the announcement itself, almost like you've already achieved something.
Oh, that's fascinating. So the trick is announce it once you've already started, rather than before?
Exactly. Start quietly, build some momentum, and then share it publicly for accountability, rather than sharing it first and hoping motivation follows.
That's such a useful distinction. Okay, quick reminder to everyone listening. If this episode is helping you understand these ideas and improve your English at the same time, that's exactly what we're going for. So drop a comment below telling us one habit you want to build. It's also a great way to practice writing in English.
Great idea. And while you're there, hit subscribe because we've got so many more episodes like this planned for you. All right, Sophie, let's talk about something called keystone habits. Have you heard this term before?
Keystone, like the stone in the middle of an arch that holds everything together?
Exactly. Great connection. A keystone habit is one single habit that, once you build it, naturally triggers a chain of other positive habits.
Oh, give me an example because that sounds almost magical.
One of the most common examples is exercise. People who start exercising regularly, often without even trying, start eating healthier, sleeping better, and feeling less stressed.
Oh, that's so true, actually. Whenever I go through a phase of working out consistently, I automatically start drinking more water and going to bed earlier without even planning it.
Exactly. That's a keystone habit doing its work. Another common example is making your bed every morning.
Making your bed? That seems so small and unrelated to bigger habits.
It does seem small, but research suggests that people who make their bed every morning tend to have higher self-discipline overall and are statistically more likely to stick to other good habits throughout the day.
That's honestly surprising. Why would something so tiny have such a big effect?
The theory is that it's your first win of the day. It builds a small sense of accomplishment and order right at the start, which puts your brain into a slightly more disciplined, organized mindset for everything that follows.
I love that. So instead of trying to change everything at once, we should look for that one keystone habit that naturally pulls other good habits along with it.
Exactly. And that's actually much less overwhelming than trying to transform your entire life overnight, which, let's be honest, almost never works.
True. Because I've definitely tried the New Year, New Me approach where I decide to change 10 things at once on January 1st.
And by January 15th?
Completely back to normal, unfortunately.
This is such a common pattern, and it actually connects perfectly to our next point, why trying to change too much at once almost always backfires. So remember earlier when we talked about willpower being like a battery?
Yes, the battery that drains throughout the day.
Well, when you try to build 5 new habits at the same time, you're essentially asking your limited willpower battery to power 5 new systems simultaneously. It's simply too much load, and something eventually breaks down.
That makes total sense, actually. It's kind of like trying to charge 5 phones with one weak power outlet.
I love that comparison, Sophie. And this is exactly why psychologists recommend focusing on just 1 or 2 habits at a time, mastering them until they become automatic, and then moving on to the next one.
So patience is basically a requirement here, isn't it?
Absolutely essential. Real, lasting change tends to be slow and boring, which honestly isn't very exciting to hear, but it's the truth.
I actually appreciate that honesty because so much content online promises instant transformation and it just sets unrealistic expectations.
Completely agree. There's this expression, slow and steady wins the race. It comes from an old fable, and it's incredibly relevant here.
I love that expression, and I think our listeners will find it useful too. It basically means that consistent, gradual progress beats fast, unsustainable effort in the long run.
Exactly right.
James, I want to ask about something I personally struggle with. That frustrating period where you're doing everything right, but you don't see any results yet. It's so discouraging.
This has a name too. It's sometimes called the plateau of latent potential.
Latent potential, meaning hidden or not yet visible potential?
Exactly. So imagine you're trying to melt an ice cube by slowly raising the temperature in the room from 20 degrees to 25 to 30, 31, 32 degrees, and the ice cube looks exactly the same the whole time.
Right, no visible change at all.
But then, at 33 degrees, suddenly the ice cube starts melting rapidly. All that previous effort wasn't wasted. It was building up underneath the surface, invisible, until it finally broke through.
Oh, wow. That's such a powerful metaphor. So basically, when we don't see results, it doesn't necessarily mean nothing is happening.
Exactly. Most people quit during degree 29 or 30, right before the breakthrough, simply because they can't see progress and assume their efforts are pointless.
That's honestly heartbreaking, but also really motivating in a strange way, because it means just keep going, even when you don't see results yet.
Precisely. This is why tracking your habits, even just marking an X on a calendar every day you complete something, can be so powerful. It gives you visible proof of your invisible progress.
Oh, that's such a good point. Because otherwise, all that hidden effort just feels invisible and unrewarded, even though it's actually building towards something.
Let's talk a bit more about tracking because it's such an underrated tool. There's actually a well-known technique called "don't break the chain."
Don't break the chain? That sounds intense.
It's actually really simple. You get a calendar, and every day you complete your habit, you put a big X on that day. After a few days, you start forming a chain of X's, and your only job becomes "don't break the chain."
Oh, I see. So it becomes almost like a visual game where you don't want to lose your streak.
Exactly. And psychologically, seeing that growing chain gives you a real sense of accomplishment, which reinforces the identity we talked about earlier. I am someone who does this consistently.
I actually think I need to start doing this with my language learning because some days I study and some days I completely forget, and I never really track it.
Highly recommended. And here's a bonus tip. Celebrate small wins along the way. Don't wait until you reach some huge, distant goal to feel proud of yourself.
What do you mean exactly by celebrate?
It could be something as simple as acknowledging out loud, "Nice, I did it again today," or treating yourself to something small after hitting a milestone, like a week-long streak.
That actually reinforces the reward part of the habit loop, doesn't it? Cue, routine, and now an extra reward layered on top.
Exactly. You're connecting all the dots perfectly, Sophie.
I've been taking notes this whole episode, not gonna lie.
One last big myth I really want to address, the idea that you need to feel motivated before you start a habit.
Oh, I fall into this trap constantly. I keep waiting to feel ready or feel motivated before starting something.
You're definitely not alone, but here's the psychological truth. Motivation almost always comes after action, not before it.
Wait, really? That feels backwards from how I normally think about it.
I know, but think about the last time you didn't feel like exercising, but forced yourself to do it anyway, even for just 5 minutes.
Actually, yeah. I usually end up feeling more energized after I start, even though I felt completely unmotivated before.
Exactly. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Waiting to feel ready is often just procrastination wearing a clever disguise.
Procrastination wearing a disguise. I love that phrase. That's such a vivid way to describe it.
It really is such a common trap. The solution is simple, though not always easy. Just begin, even in a tiny, imperfect way, and let the motivation catch up to you afterward.
This connects back to the 2-minute rule we talked about earlier, doesn't it? Starting small removes the need for motivation altogether.
Exactly. Everything in this episode really does connect together, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, I think we've covered a lot of powerful ideas today. Should we do a quick recap for our listeners before we wrap up?
Great idea. Let's summarize everything.
All right, let's recap the psychology secrets we covered today. Number 1, willpower is limited, so rely on systems and environment instead of pure discipline.
Number 2, the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Understand it and you can redesign your habits from the inside out.
Number 3, forget the 21-day myth. Real habits take an average of 66 days, sometimes much longer, so be patient with yourself.
Number 4, never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new unwanted habit.
Number 5, focus on identity, not just outcomes. Ask yourself, who am I becoming, rather than just what do I want to achieve?
Number 6, the 2-minute rule. Shrink your habits down until starting requires almost zero effort or motivation.
Number 7, habit stacking. Attach new habits to habits you already do consistently.
Number 8, design your environment intentionally, because your surroundings shape your behavior more than motivation ever will.
Number 9, understand dopamine and use temptation bundling to make good habits more appealing.
Number 10, your social circle strongly influences your habits, so choose your community wisely and use accountability to your advantage.
Number 11, look for keystone habits, the ones that naturally create a positive chain reaction in other areas of your life.
And finally, number 12, motivation follows action, not the other way around. Don't wait to feel ready. Just start small and let momentum build naturally.
Wow, that's a lot of powerful insights packed into one conversation, Sophie.
It really is. I feel like I need to listen to this episode again myself just to fully absorb everything.
So before we finish today's episode, I want to ask our listeners something important. Think about one habit you've been wanting to build. Maybe it's exercising more, reading daily, drinking more water, or even studying English every single day.
Ooh, that last one is very relevant for everyone watching this video right now.
Exactly. So here's your challenge. Using what we just talked about, apply the 2-minute rule to your English learning. Instead of saying, I'll study English for 1 hour, commit to just watching one short video or repeating just one sentence out loud.
That's such a great way to bring today's topic full circle. Small, consistent steps beat big, unsustainable goals every single time.
Absolutely. So tell us in the comments, what's one small habit you're going to start today? Not next Monday, not next month, today.
We genuinely love reading your comments, and honestly, writing in English is a fantastic way to practice too, so don't be shy.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with a friend who might also be trying to build better habits.
It truly helps our channel grow, and it means we can keep creating more free English lessons for learners all around the world.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. And remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent.
Small steps every single day. That's really the whole secret.
Exactly. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep practicing, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself.
Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.